happy Monday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We have a very, very, very full docket to get into today. There's a lot of news about the NBA. We've got some Colin Kaepernick news to get into. But before we do all that, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. And now, the Fumble Squad, we are down one member today, but I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Digging the headband, Chris. And I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me on all things social media at JRay the Fanatic.
Yeah, Chris, you're looking trendy.
I just want to quickly say that before people go, it goes Chris going at his hairline again. No, it's not my hairline. It's the other stuff that I'm covering up because I need to get shaped up real bad. The lack of fade. So I'm trying to cover all that up with the headband. The hairline I'm not worried about, but yes, I'm just trying to cover up the lack of fade. So leave me alone, chat. Leave me alone.
I think it looks good. You can rock the headband, whatever it is. It looks real good. Okay, you guys. So obviously, for those of you tuning in, Britt is not here today, but I believe she'll be back tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow if you want to catch Britt's takes. But today it's just going to be need to know news. We've got the post up, and we've got what we not going to do from Jackie. But before we get into all of that, you guys, I want to ask you guys your thoughts on this. So coronavirus cases are rising. We are peaking, especially in the states that have reopened. And now a couple Cowboys players have actually been tested positive for COVID-19, including Ezekiel Elliott. So I wonder if Dak is a little nervous after he threw those parties right at the beginning. Right. So I'm curious to hear, are you guys feeling like we are opening things back up too quickly? Are the rising numbers scary to you? Are these athletes testing positive? Is that nerve-wracking? Chris, can you fill me in on your thoughts first?
Oh, my thoughts are this is expected, to be honest with you. I mean, they've been talking about it this entire time, talking about a second wave has been coming. You know, history says that a second wave was going to be here. I mean, it's a little bit later than scheduled. But with these numbers surging and going crazy the way they are, it's to be expected, especially with everybody out amongst the world. And we have Orange County, specifically here in California, where they are just allowing people to be free without masks on and stuff like that. So no, I'm not. It's not a surprise to me.
Yeah. Jackie, how do you feel about this, knowing that numbers are rising and we have more athletes testing positive?
I mean, I agree 100% with Chris. We knew it was coming. I mean, anyone who paid attention in history class, I think this is exactly what happened with the Spanish flu and bubonic plague. It was the second wave that took everybody out, not the first. I kind of knew it's a difficult place to be in because we live in a society where we have to get out and about. We're a very social society, things of that nature. I actually did get out this weekend. There is a restaurant in Santa Monica I went to that was open that a friend of mine was dying to take me to. Girl, I will tell you about that later. It was a good time. But it was very I was excited to get out, but at the same time, it was very nerve-wracking because you couldn't get in unless you had a mask on, obviously. And then they take you to your tables. Your tables are a good distance away, but if I'm being honest, it wasn't far enough away for me. I'm like, I need y'all. I don't want to hear your conversation at all. I don't want to know what you're talking about because if I can hear you, you're not a safe distance away. So I was a little unnerved about that. And then obviously your waiter keeps his mask on, but he kept asking me stuff, and I'm like, bruh, I can't. I don't know what you're saying. All I'm hearing is, and I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. We need to just stay home if this is going to be how it is. But I did enjoy getting out because it just felt so good to finally get dressed up and not have on sweats and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like it felt good. But at the same time, I was like, who's back there fixing my food? Have they been tested? Do they have a fever right now? I was unnerved the whole time.
Yeah. I know. It is a little nerve-wracking. I went out to a restaurant this weekend, too. I was in Newport with some of my girlfriends. It was my birthday. It was a birthday bath all weekend. And it was really, I was with my girlfriends, and I know what they've been up to, and I know how they've been quarantining, so I didn't feel weird about that. But then we went out to a restaurant, and when I was at the restaurant, I was like, how many people have touched this menu? How many people have touched this table? I felt a little a little unsure about that. But I read an article recently about how people are experiencing quarantine fatigue. So even though the threat of coronavirus is actually increasing, people are just getting more and more lax because they're just getting fatigued on the whole thing. So I don't know, there needs to be, I think, some sort of something that changes so that we all get back to being as freaked out as we were before and continuing to wash our hands for 30 seconds at a time and sanitizing everything.
One cool thing that I was like, I wonder how much that cost though. The restaurant that I went to, they only had paper menus. They didn't have like the regular menus, and they threw them away. So only one user per menu. So after you had your menu, they tossed it.
Add like those little QR readers where you put it on your phone and then the menu's on your phone. I was hearing about some places that were doing
dope.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that happen, and I wish that was how it was at the restaurant that I went to, because we have real menus. I felt a little weird, and I was hand sanitizing the whole time. Bizarre, kind of bizarre. For those of you watching, continue to wash your hands. Continue to wipe down all the surfaces on the doorknob. Yep, and your groceries. Just keep things clean. I think that's probably the smartest move. Okay, so now let's jump into this need to know news, you guys, because there was a huge call that happened on Friday, led by Kyrie. It was a Zoom call with more than 80 NBA players, and they were all talking about the different concerns and the different feelings they were having about packing up and moving to Orlando temporarily, of course, to finish out the season. So the call included people like Donovan Mitchell, Melo, Joel Embiid, Dwight Howard, among others, and they were all asking hard questions about going back into games with the social justice movement and the pandemic going on. Kyrie admitted that he doesn't like the optics of many Black players going to a quarantine city to entertain the masses, taking the spotlight off of the Black Lives Matter movement and much needed police and social reforms. According to The Athletic, he said, quote, "I don't support going into Orlando. I'm not with the systematic racism and the BS. Something smells a little fishy." He also said that he's willing to give up everything that he has for social reform, and that obviously includes basketball. He went into a little bit of detail about the NBA's pay structure. He found fault with it by saying, quote, "There's only 20 guys actually getting paid, and I'm part of that. Let's not pretend there's not a tiered system purposely to divide all of us." So I have to admit, I'm not entirely positive where he's coming from with this quote. I think that max salaries limit the wages of superstars, and they prevent that large disparity between top players and more normal players. And it makes sense that the best players in the league would earn the most money. So I don't know that I understand this perspective and this whole thing about only 20 players getting paid, but I do appreciate that he recognizes that he's one of the top earners. So the call was obviously inspired in part because there's a general feeling from a lot of the less notable players that their voice wasn't being heard in discussions about restarting the season. We've talked about that before on our show. But obviously at the same time, there are a lot of players who do want to get back and who do want to, play those games and finish out the season. And they believe that they can use that platform of having games going on as a way to inspire change and to enlighten people who are viewing. So Chris, I want to ask you a question. What do you think Kyrie meant when he said something smells fishy about going back into gameplay?
Yeah, what you said is how I feel too. It's like I get what he's trying to get at. I think what he was trying to get at was the fact that there are some of the top players that are probably still getting paid, and we've talked about the different scenarios where some guys had to pay money because of their contracts and stuff like that. But at the same time, I just want the confusion still lies even after the phone call that that they had over the weekend. My confusion still lies from Friday. Like, why is this coming up now? I mean, from what I'm learning, like Kyrie Irving has one of the bigger voices in the NBPA. So why wasn't this all of these things that he's bringing up now? Why weren't these concerns prior to them even agreeing to the deal? Why is this coming up now? Because when the deal was coming out, all this was as far as the movements and the protests and stuff like that, it was primarily starting around that time too. So I'm still a little confused as to why he is speaking out so aggressively now rather than when it all first started, because his voice is very important within the NBPA. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the vice president. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I'm still trying to figure out why it is being pressed on so hard right now rather than when this whole thing first started.
I agree with you. And I've thought about that a lot because, yeah, you would think that these would be the concerns and conversations that were being had in that original conversation.
Initially, yeah.
Obviously, before the Black Lives Matter movement really started gaining momentum, I think before really any of this, we saw Kawhi, LeBron, Steph, and a bunch of other superstars getting together and urging the NBA to come back. And I could see why there would be that fear with younger players about speaking out against the top players in the league. But ultimately, if everybody at the bottom is feeling the same way, or if the majority of people are feeling the same way, that definitely should have been taken into consideration. Jackie, what point do you think that he's trying to make about that tiered pay and how he feels like within the NBA they are systematically trying to divide the players?
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to really break that down in my head a little bit. I do want to circle back really quick, though, to something that Chris said when he was like, I don't know why they're bringing this out now. Obviously, this is conjecture. I don't know for sure because I haven't talked to anyone directly. But, the marches had just started at that point. And in this country, we march all the time. It amounts to nothing. So I don't think that anyone had the foresight to say this is going to be the death that makes things happen, because I thought Eric Garner was it. I thought when everyone saw that, okay, I was like, you can't even deny that this was going to be it. It wasn't. I also thought Tamir Rice was going to be it when they pulled up on the kid and shot him in 2 seconds. I thought that was going to be it. It wasn't. So I don't think anybody thought that this was going to be the one that was it. So then when it is the one, and now we've never seen athletes go out and participate in the marches. And now we have top athletes going out and to participate with the marches. So now we have a real movement. And so now if your concern is strictly the coronavirus, that's a legit fear, because now you see superstars going out with the general public, possibly exposing themselves. That's a real fear. If you are really deciding that now is the time for you to get involved, now is the best time to do it, because what we're seeing is unprecedented. So if that's your focus, I think that makes sense. As far as the salary breakdown, I think perhaps what Kyrie is saying is like, I'm not worried about my money. And so perhaps other people are. We're going to get into that a little bit and what we're not going to do. But and that's in any job you go to, though, right? Like if the president is like, all right, we shutting down, the president and everybody else who's in the corporate office might be cool with that shutdown, but the people who are actually out on the field financially probably won't be. So I think he's just breaking down the structure that you and I probably don't understand, because you give me $1 million a year, I'm good. But we also know that these people don't necessarily budget their money in the way that you and I would. So because it's all about the flossing and all about the entourage and the looks and keeping up with the Joneses. So I think that he's speaking to that nature, like, okay, yeah, I'm at the top tier. I'm not worried about shut down. Me saying I'm going to give everything I have, even if I give everything that I have in my pocket right now, which could be millions of dollars, I'm still cool. You give, you're a journeyman or you coming off the bench or whatever, you don't have that luxury. So I think he's just breaking it down like that, but I don't necessarily understand the breakdown, because like you said, people should make more. Kyrie should be making more than some people. It should be like that. So I know good and damn well he's not saying everybody should get paid the same amount. So I don't know really what his point was in that, to be honest. Right.
I know, I read that and I was like, this is a little bit perplexing. For the next story, I'm not jumping into it quite yet, but for our next story, we're talking about what some specific NBA players are saying and whether they are for or against resuming the season. But if they do see a majority of people wanting to sit out, as we talked about this last week, Adam Silver said that it was absolutely fine if players chose not to play. So that's an option for them if they really don't want to get in there, get up out there. But if the majority of players do decide to sit out, what do you think that's going to mean? Chris, can you just give me what do you think in the grand scheme of things that's going to mean?
I mean, I think that also depends on which players are the ones that are sitting out. I feel like if it's primarily, because we were hearing last week, like we were talking about like Avery Bradley's and those kind of guys are the ones that were speaking out. And if it tends to be like those role players on a lot of these teams, on chunks of these teams, I'm sure that they'll probably continue to play on. But I mean, just like, we were talking about the NFL, if you see it coming from the top, like you're seeing the LeBron Jameses, you're seeing the Kawhis, like those kind of the guys that are, deciding to skip out and miss the games and not play, I think then that is the biggest question. I think then that's when we have to figure out if it even makes sense to continue, if what's going to come next, because obviously people's eyes are going to go wherever LeBron James goes, wherever those guys go, and that might take away from the league. So I don't know how you really continue with that. To me, it really depends on who it is. If it is a mass of the league, it depends on who is among the masses for that, in my opinion, to see what happens next, what the next stage would be.
Well, it's crazy to think about, and we're definitely in for, I think, a wild journey. Let's jump into some of these players and what they're saying. You guys are going to be talking about Austin Rivers and Dwight Howard, right? You're going to be getting into that a little bit later. Okay, But in the meantime, and speaking of LeBron, we do have something about him that Jackie's going to be getting into, I think. Or no, that's about Pat Beverly. Okay. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Via LeBron. Yeah. I realized my LeBron doll is not in the shot. Let me get my LeBron doll ready.
I'm telling you, that's what happened last week too. See?
Right. Let me get it.
Okay, so let's discuss this. So the Shams Charania reported that Donovan Mitchell expressed concern that the condensed nature of games with the increased level of play required for playoff basketball could lead to increased chances of injury. So he was reportedly willing to sit out due to injury concerns. So he's up for that max contract extension, I think, as early as the off season. So I think he has maybe more on the line. I'm not really sure. But when there was a tweet that Bleacher Report put out about Donovan Mitchell and about his willingness to sit out, he just tweeted back writing, "Stop it." So I guess that's him kind of clapping back at those claims. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but there were multiple sources that reported he was sitting on that call and talking about the increased risk of injury. We also had Kyle Kuzma, who offered his opinion about all of this, and he said that he wants everybody to know that he is ready to hoop. He tweeted, "Some of us want to hoop and compete. Don't get that twisted." The Lakers were on their way to winning the championship, which would have been their first finals win since 2010. And I say winning because I'm just putting it out there, manifesting. They are going to do.
I like it.
Yeah. Out there, so they were on their way. I get why Kyle Kuzma wants to continue playing. Garrett Temple, he said, quote, "When people bring up not playing, we are a few black men that can make a little bit of money. It is not a lot of money when you think about it in the grand scheme of America, but we can start having a little bit of money, create a little bit of generational wealth. But the fact that us not playing will hurt our pockets, I don't think that is the right way to go about it." So he's against Kyrie. Kyrie is totally willing to sit out, pause the season, or cancel the season altogether. Garrett Temple thinks that they need to focus on increasing that generational wealth for black families and black communities. Steven Jackson commented on all of it. He said that now ain't the time. He acknowledges that none of the white owners have spoken up, says playing basketball isn't going to do anything except take the attention away from what they're fighting for. So I know we've talked about this a lot on our live shows, but Chris, I want to know what you think about people wanting to sit out now. I know you and I agreed that we feel playing these games would be a great opportunity, a great platform for them to draw attention to Black Lives Matter, to make a big statement or do something dramatic. But now that you're hearing directly from the players who are not that excited to play, are you sort of seeing their perspective a little bit more? Are you changing your stance on all of this?
No, my stance is going to stay the same. I feel like I've always seen where they're coming from. I just feel like I feel like you can do both, because there's going to be situations where the game isn't going to be on. It's not going to be happening all day. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting basketball 24/7, and I feel like it's definitely both. And I feel like I've said on so many occasions, whether it's here, whether it's on my own platform, I feel like there's a way that you can use this comeback as a tool. Like Jackie had said previously, there's been so many cases where there have been deaths, there have been black deaths that go on. We rage about it, the cycle ends, and then we stop talking about it. This one, of course, is going on, but this, I feel like if a case where, you know, it may start to die down come the end of July, that brings the conversation right back up, because the point of the matter is to keep this conversation, keep people outraged and mad till when it's our time to vote and time to, you know, put our money where our mouth is in the polls, you know what I'm saying? I think that's what's most important. So I still feel that this could definitely be used as a tool, especially with the NBA, which is the sport, and I've said it so many times, that allows these players to speak and allows these players to use that platform to push a movement as strong as this, especially in a time like this. But in that same breath, I do understand for those players who are choosing to not play and go and, you know, push it the way that they want to push it. I have no problem with that. I just feel like it would be a wasted opportunity to not use the NBA as a tool in that fight. So I do hear him. I hear him out, but my stance has still not changed on that. And I don't think it will change on that. I really feel like this is a tool that can be used for sure.
What I think is important to acknowledge is that the games won't actually start again for a couple months. Like, sure, that training camp is going to be going. Yeah, and so by then the markets may not be happening with as much frequency. The conversation might have simmered down a little bit. And I still also feel the same way, that getting back up there and playing could be a great chance for them to be like, hey, don't forget about this. This is still an issue. This is still something that we need to talk about. And here we are on this nationwide stage where we're going to be able, or, you know, a worldwide stage actually, and we're going to actually be able to make a statement. But I stand behind the people who don't feel it's the right time. I completely see their perspective. I still feel that it could be a missed opportunity. Jackie, with so many athletes now coming forward and opposing resuming the season, do you think that this will impact whether or not we actually pick things back up again? Or do you think that things are still kind of set in stone and we're going to start again on July 31st?
Yeah, I think we're full speed ahead July 31st. I think the powers that be know that it will suck if you know, some of the bigger names stand down, but like we've said it time and time again, you know, there's a next guy up. There's a next guy who's not making as much money, who wants to have his moment in the sun. And if we have to play with a bunch of journeymen and G leaguers, and that's what we will do. And then you'll end up finding a new superstar. That's just how nature goes, you know? So the NBA knows exactly what they're doing. And I've been on the fence with this since it came out. You know, I've said, hey, a hashtag is going to come. And we've had like 15, 20 since the marches started, unfortunately. So I've said that this is not something that's going away. And, you know, we need to have these big names out there that can, you know, raise awareness again. I tend to be a Marine, though. I'm definitely that type of person that wants to get on the ground and like fight it out, you know, hand-to-hand combat. That's who I am as a person. But you still need the Air Force. You know what I mean? You still need people in the air that can kind of look down and say, hey, this is what's going on, to raise awareness for everybody. So I think we need all fronts. But I'm on the fence with this one since day one, because I totally get it from both sides.
So, Jackie, I also want to ask you about what Garrett Temple said and how his focus was on building that generational wealth, and they shouldn't pass up this opportunity to earn this chunk of money. Do you have any opinion about the perspective and the opinion that he was offering in this whole conversation?
Do I have an opinion? Of course I have an opinion. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. So there's some truths in that. You know, one of the reasons that people always kind of talk about the financial disparities in the Black community is because that has prevented us from building financial wealth. But I saw somebody in the chat say no one in the NBA is that's Black is building, you know, employing Black people. That is not entirely true. LeBron James has an entire production company that predominantly employs Black people. Russell Westbrook is out there, you know, not necessarily employing, but definitely giving opportunities to Black people. I also think that the NBA, and I don't know if I want to say it falls on the responsibility of the NBA, but as Black people, you can literally, if you have $500,000 in your pocket and you know how to invest properly, you can buy property, you can buy bonds, you can get a financial advisor to guide you. That can turn into generational wealth. I'm not saying you can you can provide generational wealth for your cousins, aunties, sisters, all those people. But in your immediate family, you can provide generational wealth. So if you're getting $1.2 million a year and you are still living paycheck to paycheck, that is not a generational wealth problem. That is a you problem. That is a you don't know how to budget problem. And so I don't think that's necessarily, I know what he was trying to get at, but I'd have to check his pockets to see if we can even give validity to that statement.
Mm-hmm. I felt like his perspective was a little unique compared to what everybody else was saying. You know, people were saying, I'm worried about the health risks, the injury. I don't want to take away attention from Black Lives Matter. But then also he's like, that'll build generational wealth. I thought that was kind of funny. Like these last 8 games are going to do that. I'm not sure.
Right.
I think every stance has, you know, there's validity to everything and everybody's opinion. It was just kind of, I felt like a little random. Okay, let's move to the third and final need to know news story. Colin Kaepernick. So his name has obviously been completely intertwined in the movements going on right now. A lot of people have been urging teams to sign him. They think that now people are realizing that peaceful protesting is really valuable way to protest, and there was nothing wrong with it to begin with. People are like, wow, we really screwed up. We gotta get Cat back in. And now Congressman Joe Kennedy took to social media to call out the NFL for not apologizing to Colin Kaepernick, and he urged the Patriots to sign him. We have the tweet coming up for you, so Leo, if you don't mind throwing that up there. If you have it, he tweeted, the NFL should apologize to Colin Kaepernick and the Patriots should sign him. The tweet was liked 79,000 times and had over 12,000 retweets, almost 13,000 retweets when I took this screenshot this morning. So clearly this is a very popular idea. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about Cap going to the Patriots. But first, we have Chad Finn of the Boston Globe, who outlined the ways that Cap and the Patriots are perfect for each other. He said, quote, Patriots, show the world that you are serious about this issue. Sign Kaepernick and give him back the forum that he once had as an NFL player. Have the discussion with him and others so that it might foster a level of comprehension and a new way of thinking. By signing him, you know that you will be opening up to a media circus and the accompanying backlash surrounding him and the issues of racial equality and police brutality. If you truly want to make a difference, however, bringing Kaepernick back into the NFL fold would be one giant step towards it. I like what this guy said. I like his thinking. Jackie, do you think that this is a good move?
No. Not at all. And so I talked about this more in depth on my platform. I understand very specifically why they're saying the Patriots. I don't know if a lot of people remember, but during the Super Bowl, when the Patriots were playing the Falcons, I forget the gentleman's last name, Richard something, but he is a leader in the alt-right movement, and he had tweeted out that he was so excited that the Patriots were coming back because they've been historically the whitest team in the NFL. Tom Brady has an all-white receiving core, and ATL is just horrible because, you know, ATL is predominantly black. That was retweeted similar amount of times as this tweet. The Patriots said nothing about that. They didn't address that. They also had the 1 millionth tweet that had the I hate N-words that they put out on their Twitter and said that was an accident. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, both support Donald Trump. So I understand why he says the Patriots should pick up Colin Kaepernick because they have the most racist fan base and they just are who they are. So if you really want to make a statement, then you make a statement on the New England Patriots. However, that ship, in my opinion, has sailed because Colin Kaepernick, while I think he could be very impactful, I don't think he would be impactful off top. You have to give him a starting position. And if you give him a starting position, all eyes are on him. He hasn't played in the league in 3 years. We have Cam Newton, who still needs a job, who is, an MVP and needs to get a job as well. And he's much closer to the game. So I think saying we have to give Colin Kaepernick a job now is just an attempt to try to save face, especially when you're trying to throw him on the Patriots. Now, if you say, I think we need to start an advisory committee. We need to have, since we don't have any black ownership, and since we do have problems hiring black people in higher up positions, we need to start an advisory committee we're going to create a position for Colin Kaepernick. This is going to be his job. He is now employed with the NFL. If you're going to do something like that, I'm a co-sign on that all day. But if you're just going to say 3 years of us being colluding jerks, and now it's like, hey, you got to, no, absolutely not. I think it's a bad move, and I don't think it would save face with anyone. And if they did do it, I think they would put him on the Patriots, which is a winning organization on top of that, specifically just because they hope he would fail. There would be no upside to this at all.
See, my optimistic perspective is, they give him a starting position on the team. It kind of, when NASCAR said people couldn't wave the Confederate flag, they angered their fan bases. We saw that dumb driver quit. People, it was like kind of this monumental move for a sport that is kind of known to be attractive to racists. And because the Patriots are kind of known to be that, the fan base is kind of known to be like that, I think that this could have been a monumental move, or could still be a monumental move for them in sort of changing that perspective and getting people to kind of make them angry, but create change. I see where you're coming from, though, Jackie. I hope if it does happen, I hope that it could be something optimistic. I think it could be good for Colin Kaepernick, but we'll have to see. Anyway, that wraps up Need to Know News, you guys. So, Chris, I know that we had a lot happen in the world of social media, so fill us in, please.
Yes, it's time for Post Up with your boy, Chris, Quarantine Edition. I just want to quickly say about that Kaepernick thing. Yes, that is if football, strictly football, because they need a quarterback, fine. But because of everything behind the scenes, because we know the fan base in not just New England and Boston, I love what you said, Devin, because that was a very good analogy. I just I don't have too much faith over there, and that's just my personal opinion on that. But moving on to Post Up. We had quite a few things happen over the week, and you mentioned NASCAR, and the first thing I got for you guys is NASCAR, and my boy Alvin Kamara was out there embracing NASCAR. He was in fact invited by NASCAR to go out and check out the races over the weekend. Like Devin had said, last week NASCAR put out a statement saying that they will be banning the Confederate flag from any of their events. They also showed off Bubba Wallace's car that would be representing Black Lives Matter. The color scheme was really cool. It was really dope car out there. And amidst all that, you were seeing, of course, there was a lot of hate. We had the whole Ray thing going on, but there was also a lot of athletes and, people like myself that were, intrigued and want to see how Bubba Wallace is going to be doing. With all that, NASCAR invited Alvin Kamara to come out and check out a race. And here was his first post when he got invited out to NASCAR. He posted this on his Instagram.
All right. I'm going to Homestead Miami Speedway. Check out my first NASCAR race. You see what I got on. A little Bubba Wallace action. Y'all check me out. I'll be on the NASCAR page. Doing a little something. Yeah.
I take it back. NASCAR posted that. He was posting for NASCAR that day. I apologize. But yeah, so he was excited about it. Kept the same energy. He went in there, went to see his first races. After the first race had gone through, he had updated us on the situation and posted this video on the NASCAR account.
First race was crazy. My first NASCAR race. Shout out Chase Briscoe. He got the win. Getting ready to lock into this next one. Should be good. I'll keep y'all posted.
Yeah, and as it was going on, he's still new to the sport and the activity of NASCAR racing, as am I, because like I said last week, I actually did tune in on that to that Bubba Wallace race where he finished 11th, and I didn't watch the whole entire thing. Admittedly, I watched like the last few laps, and I can agree with what Kamara had tweeted out. He said, "Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the science behind the pit stop. Confusion, but I'm getting it at NASCAR." So you can see as it was going on, he was figuring out the whole thing. So it turned out that he had a good time. Of course, to the point that Devin made earlier, yes, there were people that were still a little upset about it. People who were hating on this whole cross platform, because you're getting the NFL player, a black NFL player, going to this sport and being, and representing the IG account and stuff like that. So there are people who are upset about it. But all in all, like, to have these steps in this direction where, you're possibly getting some fans over, and, with Bubba Wallace leading the way, I think it was a cool event. And I was following along with Alvin Kamara's tweets throughout the weekend, so that was fun from them. Moving on to this really cool post that Taylor Rooks had put up. She had dropped a picture of Maya Moore, who is probably arguably one of the greatest female basketball players. Shoot, you can take female out of it. One of the greatest basketball players to play, and well, let me read her post before I get into it. And Taylor Rooks did a great job with this post. So she put this picture up, and she put a caption saying, too often black women are left out of the conversation. We can't discuss athletes giving things up for equality without screaming Maya Moore, one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game. Stepped away from the WNBA to fight for criminal justice reform. She focused on the case of Jonathan Irons. Her efforts played a large part in getting his case overturned. He said she saved his life. She is sitting she is sitting out more in continuing she's sitting out more to continue her work. I encourage all people to include and support black women. I encourage black men to give her and black women the light that is deserved. Let's all lift her up, and please arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Facts. And I love that post. It was a really dope picture to put up. And when I first heard that, I honestly didn't know about this until later on. I think it was like this past season that they had. And I occasionally, yes, being that I have a daughter, so I would be watching WNBA a lot more now. And I was watching, it was actually a Lynx game. And I was wondering where Maya Moore was, because I'm like, wait, I thought Maya Moore was on this team. Found out she was on the team, and then I found out the reason why, and I was just like, yo, that's great. And then even for the case to be overturned, because I knew about that, and for her to still be out to continue to fight, that's definitely role model status right there. And Lou Williams agreed, because he saw this. He responded, or he commented on this post saying this picture hitting differently today. People are asking why you say that, and he responded by saying, because she looks like a woman, I'll sit my kids down and say this is a picture of a real life role model. And man, not only did that picture hit different, that response right there 100% agreed with it. Very different for sure. I got no questions for this one, because I just feel like it was just an overall great post, overall great response and great reaction from the Williams on that. And, shout out to the whole thing. Shout out to Maya Moore too. Love that. So like we were talking about just now, as far as the players and their opinions with coming back and bringing back the season July 30th. And, some players that might not want to come back, whether it has to do with Big Rona or whether it has to do with the protests and the movement going on. We saw and we talked about, Kyrie Irving, Steven Jackson, so on and so forth. Dwight Howard was one of the players to also speak out and say that he is also planning on not playing if the season continues. Well, excuse me, when the season continues in late July. He responded to, he spoke to CNN saying, I agree with Kyrie. Basketball or entertainment, period, isn't needed at this moment and will only be a distraction. I would love nothing more than to win my very first NBA championship, but the unity of my people would be an even bigger championship. No basketball till we get things resolved. And like I said, my stance on this stays the same. I hear that. I understand that. I respect it. I have nothing against that. I just also feel like this is also Jackie put that the best anybody could put it. Like, this is a situation where any angle, any which way that you are getting any kind of attention brought onto what is going on right now is what's needed. So I feel like the NBA is going to be a sport that's going to be very active with everything going on right now. So I feel like that's a tool that should be used. And also for players that feel this way, that do not want to play and that are going to be on the ground and doing what they're going to do, that's going to be needed too. So I understand on both sides. So that's my opinion. I've stayed to that. I want to come to you real quick, Jackie, on Dwight Howard specifically making this statement and saying that he would he's pretty much giving up his opportunity to get a championship. He would still get the championship because he was a part of the team. So even if they did win, he would still get the chip. But to give up the opportunity to go and play for that, how do you feel about Dwight Howard's response to Kyrie? How do you feel about that? You agree with them? You think that? How do you feel about what he responded to what Kyrie had said?
I mean, I don't agree. I don't disagree. I think that if he did sit out, I expect to see him. I expect to see his name in headlines. He's making this move. He's trying to push for this change, this kind of police reform. If he sits out and I don't see anything from him, I don't hear anything from him, then I feel some type of way. But especially Dwight. Dwight has had such a long and difficult, tumultuous career. Yeah. I would hate for him to miss this moment, regardless of what I feel about the situation. If the Lakers have a real shot, if King James is playing, I would hate him to miss out on that moment, because this would be the pinnacle for him. This would be, I've come from so many teams, people saying I don't really care about the game. And like, if he backtracked and said, you know what, I stand by what I said, but my team needs me as well. These are still my brothers. This is still an opportunity to go out here, win. And I want to be a part of that. Like, I would support him in that too, because this is, he's not playing this for just giggles. You know what I mean? He is a basketball player. He plays because this is his passion. So I don't know. I feel him, and I would definitely want him to do what's best for him. But if the Lakers as a team decide to move forward, I would hope that he would move forward as well.
And that was going to be my next question, to bring it to a little bit of a basketball question, a little bit of a Lakers question. And then there's the rumor talking about, if this is the case and he does end up not coming back, that there is the rumor that they would possibly then now re-sign Boogie Cousins. How you feeling about that?
Mm-hmm. I love Boogie. So, he's made a career out of the bench. So if he could get in there and actually get some real playing time in a moment where it means the most to us, all for that. I would definitely push forward with Boogie.
Yes. So for the chat that is watching right now, after this live is done, be sure to go check out Devin's video. She did a video talking about this same situation. So go check out that video, and please leave your comments. Please leave your feelings on that in that video, as well as keep talking about in the chat right now. Moving on to this next one, Lou Williams. Lou Williams also, he has a take on this as well. And I like, to be honest, I hear him. I hear him on what he said, but he didn't only have a take. He had some words for Bleacher Report, because Bleacher Report was out there. Bleacher Report is known to not really add a lot of context to a lot of things that these players are saying. So he's making sure that they add the context to what he says here. He dropped a tweet saying, y'all stop trying to tell me how to do a job you never did. LOL. If we had a game today and you leave a protest to watch it, that's a distraction. Any questions? And Bleacher Report, y'all make sure you give my quotes context when I speak. Be cool. Keep fighting. I think that's just, Lou. We get Lou Williams over here dropping the sentimental and dropping some facts. Then we also got Lou Williams over here just making sure that his thoughts are known. And I feel like that is a very good point. I feel like that because when the games are being played, there are still protests and there still are people that are out there that will be marching, that will be making their voices heard in the streets, and that the games could take away from those people out there. But like I said earlier, I just feel like because those games are at that time, that still means that there are still other times in the day for people to go do that. I understand work and all kinds of blah, blah. But I just feel like it is definitely something that can work hand in hand. And I feel like that is, like I said, it's a tool. But I get it. Again, I'm not going to disagree with anything that these guys are saying. I think that they are right to have that, and they have the right to go and decide to go and push that rather than playing a game, playing basketball. I hear you on that, and you ain't gonna get no fight out of me from that. On a softer note, going over to Klay Thompson, who posted 2 pictures of a gift that he got from Kobe Bryant. He was sharing with us. It was Kobe had gifted him his book, The Mamba Mentality, and Kobe had signed it off. And normally, you see people leave messages like, "I love your career, love what you do, keep pushing." Da da da. My man Kobe put it very, very simply. He said, "To Klay, rings, 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 ... and then sign that thing, Kobe Bryant. And that's dope. I love that. That's a perfect message for Klay, and I'm sure he took that one to heart. And then, he says that this book is his basketball Bible. So shout out to Klay for sharing that with us. I still have yet to get. I've been even before the unfortunate passing of Kobe. I genuinely wanted to get this book. I got Phil Jackson's book. This ain't book hour. I'm sorry. Anyways, shout out to Klay. Shout out to Sean Nan. Look at Kobe just being Kobe, and it was just a great little moment to say that, because I wouldn't expect Kobe to be saying anything less in a situation like that. But then to some somber news that still has to do with Kobe Bryant. Vanessa and Natalia Bryant both decided to not only set their IG accounts to private, but also block a lot of fan accounts. And it's not for a malicious reason. I feel like, you know, it's for a reason that if you just hearing that, you could already figure, you know how Instagram works. You see enough of one thing, you see it being flooded in your timeline, then when you go on your explore page, wherever it may be, that's all you're going to see. And that's got to hurt, especially when it comes to Vanessa trying to go through this and try to heal through something as devastating as this, to then be reminded about it every time they go on social media, everywhere they go. That's got to be hard. That being said, Vanessa did drop this message on her story saying, "Thanks so much for all the love. Natalia Bryant and I have unfortunately had to block fan pages because it's been really hard to go online and constantly see pics of our beloved Gigi and Kobe under every single square of our explore pages. Blocking the fan pages has helped change the algorithm. We love you all, but please understand that we had to do this for our own healing, not because we don't appreciate your love." XO. And I think that makes sense. It is very sad, and but that you got to do what you got to do, because, like I said, healing is not. There's no timetable on how anybody heals, and you know, there's people who are able to, you know, feel better within a year, and there's people that take 10 years. You know, it's different for everybody, and especially when it's somebody as big as Kobe and, you know, as Gigi, you know, that's going to be talked about for all these years. Is going to keep being talked about, keep being brought up. They got to do what they got to do to, you know, help that healing process, and I agree with it. I hope that helps out for them. So makes sense to me. Kneeling is we're seeing a lot of players and coaches and people talking in the NFL talking about they're going to be kneeling and stuff like that. Like, it's cool. Fine. I'm with it. I hear you. It was a little weird when seeing like Bill O'Brien saying that he's going to, it's just, I don't know. I'm cool. I don't know why you had to say it. But that being said, Baker Mayfield was one of the players that had commented that he would be kneeling this coming season. As you'd expect, you have those fans that are going to be attacking Baker, saying, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's not blah, 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 blah. And Baker is double down. He's not, he doubled down the whole thing. He's not going to, you know, say like, he's not going to, he's fighting back to the fans. He had this to say about his comment to Neil. He said, "Everybody's so upset about my comment, doesn't understand the reasoning behind kneeling in the first place. Nate and Cap came to an agreement that kneeling was the most respectful way to support our military while also standing up for equality. I have the utmost respect for our military, cops, and people that serve our country. It's about equality and everybody being treated the same because we are all human. It's been ignored for too long, and that is my fault as well for not becoming more educated and staying silent. If I lose fans, that's okay. I've always spoken my mind, and that from my heart." And I feel like, you know, I think that was put well. I don't know. To me, I hear it. I have nothing with his message. I don't know. It was just irking me the wrong way to see all these people. I just keep seeing these notifications that says they're going to kneel. This person, like, I don't understand why they feel like they need to message it. Just do it when the time comes. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like it was. I don't know. That rubbed me wrong, but his message I feel like is the right one. I feel like that last line is the right line. If I lose fans, that's okay, because like we said here, obviously the fans that you are losing are the ones that you really don't need in the first place. So go on, and we'll see you later. Now, to end off Post Up, we got some really dope news mixed in with some real gumption. Let me explain. We got New Zealand who over the weekend had cured and had their last and final case of coronavirus gone, done. They have 0 cases. Big Rona is out of New Zealand. They're all happy about it. So happy to the point that they decide that they're going to test fate and have everybody attend sporting events with people in the stands. If we can get that video up right now.
Go into that guy.
Oh, yeah.
That news went out.
So close.
They out here just, you know, they are testing.
No mask or nothing.
They look, they're nothing, not a mask, not spaces in between. They said, we ain't scared of you, Rona. And all I gotta say is, look, you be careful. Is all I'm saying. I'm happy for you. This news was really nice to see. It was, you know, more of the positive. But look, this is how I felt about it too. This is nice. But look, man, I saw that video. I was just like, you know, I'm like, okay. All right. I mean, do what you guys gotta do. Be safe, because let me tell you, the second wave is serious. But shout out to New Zealand for that. To have that event, to have that moment would be cool. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into what it could
all
possibly.
Of New Zealand being up for sale.
Yeah.
Like hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. Over here on Post Up.
Oh my goodness.
All right, well, Jackie, that means you're going to be closing out our show today with another What We Not Gonna Do. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that dude is getting better. Okay.
Every damn show that thing.
Every time I'm like, woo, woo, woo. Yeah. All right, guys. So look, we've been talking about all day. You guys know that I rock with King James always and forever. We've seen a lot of people change their ways. We've seen NASCAR. I have friends that play Call of Duty. The racist people on Call of Duty is crazy. But before you enter a mission, Call of Duty says, we support Black Lives Matter, which was weird to me. Of course, the NFL. The best one to me is, of course, Starbucks saying, you ain't going to wear that Black Lives Matter shirt in here to, okay, people mad. We going to make you some Black Lives Matter shirt. But let me be clear. I question the sincerity of each and every company that has miraculously decided that now, in this time in 2020, Black Lives Matter, when we've been telling you what we have been going through. I just think it doesn't make sense for them to do it now, except for the dollar. Every single one of them is doing this because of the dollar, period, without exception. The NBA has definitely, hands down, been much better at allowing their athletes to use their platform, but let's not mix words here. They're a business. It is about business. We, as well as NBA players, I think we're lucky because we get to do what we love. But I think all of us here on the Fumble Squad that we can relate, there was a time when it was just about making money. I'm not going to work to be your friend. I'm just trying to make money, and I'm not mad at that. But I think, obviously, I've been on the fence with this the whole time about should they play, should they not play? I see it from both sides. I know I've said that maybe the players starting the season knowing another hashtag was coming, knowing this is going to happen again, would be a good thing. And then I've said personally on several podcasts that I personally need the distraction, because I feel like now I'm so ingrained in this movement that it's sometimes quite heartbreaking to me. And sometimes I just need a relief. So, I know that's selfish, but it's honest, So at the same time, whoever this player is that spoke with Woj, I kind of completely agree with you. Woj tweeted that one respected NBA player tells me once we start playing basketball again, the news will turn from systemic racism to who did what in the game last night. It's a crucial time for us to be able to play and blend that impact to what's happening in our communities. So my first thought was, yeah, that's true. But, I want to see some basketball. Basketball is literally my favorite sport. It makes me happy, especially watching my King James out there. It's one of those things that I need in my life. But then you turn to social media. So I understand why Vanessa has kind of ixnayed some people on social media, because I turn to social media and I see this video. Leo, if you could post that up there. And it kind of made me giggle. I'm not going to lie. It's a video of this white kid who is combative with the cop to the point where he ends up chasing the cop. The cop gets scared and runs away. And the kid kind of beats him up a little bit. So there was a side of me that giggled to that, like, haha, that's funny. But then I see the video of Rashad Brooks in a very similar situation where cops had several opportunities to just de-escalate that situation. And instead, they took his life. So we have two people, one black, one white, getting very different responses from police. Obviously, this still is a thing. And if I'm being honest, I'm just tired of crying sometimes. I'm tired of seeing this and the sadness. And I just don't know if that's just me being selfish, because I'm just tired. So at the same time, Patrick Beverly posted this, and several people was like, did you see it? Because I think they expected a different reaction to me. But he posted this that says, Hoopers, say what y'all want. If King James says we hooping, he hooping, we all hooping. Not personal, only business, #stay woke. So the stay woke part of it kind of threw me off, because I didn't know Is he telling the NBA to stay woke, or is he telling LeBron James to stay woke? Because LeBron James has done way more. Like if LeBron never does anything else, he's done enough. He's done so much in the lives of kids that we're not even going to see that impact for another 20 years. He's actually opened a production company, like I said earlier, that employs Black people so they can get their voices out in an entertainment world that is not so willing to let Black voices get out. So he has done enough. But then I also kind of agree with Marcus Allen Thomas, who posted this tweet. He says, can you post that tweet up there? He says, "You better than this post. I've had the opportunity to be around you while you was a rocket. Keep in mind when you lace up that they still killing our people. 2 were hung in California and 1 shot in ATL. Forget ball this season. 400 years of oppression is on the line." I have nothing but understanding for that. You know what I mean? And I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about that, because those 2 gentlemen that were hung were here in California. So that hits home. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to rule that as suicide. Come on, man. Like, it's just a lot going on. And like I said, it could just be that I'm hurt, but I don't know if sitting out, and I get what people are saying, like, oh, you're really going to confine a bunch of Black men in a space and say, hey, entertain us. I get that sentiment. I get why that bothers you. But I also get that drowning yourself in sorrow with no relief is also not the best. So again, I get either side of this. And on one side, I want to say, yes, LeBron should call it. If he in his heart thinks that he's going to call it and he has a plan, and that's the thing. Y'all can't just be calling games and saying we're not going to play if there's no plan in place. If you have a plan that says, hey, we're not going to play and this is what we're going to do instead, this is how we're going to impact our communities, then I'm all for that. If you're just not going to play to do a statement, we are making statements. And to be honest, your presence, playing a game, doing an interview after the game to raise awareness about these types of things, I would venture a guess that a lot of you didn't even know that 2 Black men were hung in California. So if you can do something like that, then that is impactful. And to be honest, we just need the game. I get that that's probably me being selfish. I own that entirely. But I'm going to ask you, Devin, especially because we're talking about the Lakers. LeBron is getting older. There's not that many more championships in his future. What do you think? Should he call it, or... Don't laugh, Chris. That's not funny. I'm just saying, we all get old, and this is a crucial time for him. I just don't know if I would be okay with him saying now, while I'm at the end of my career, we're just going to call it, and we're going to sit out, and we're going to just honor the protest.
Well, I mean, I feel like I can't confidently stand on either side of this issue. I think I feel the same way as you. If I were to say, no, it's LeBron, maybe LeBron's last chance to win a ring, we want LeBron to play, this could be his, one of his last seasons. It's selfish of me to sit there and say that, because I completely understand why these athletes are wanting to sit out, why they're feeling like it could take the attention away from the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's really hard for me to say, yeah, LeBron should get back out there and play. Right. Of course, I would love to see that, but we're going through something right now, and we've said this before on the channel, we're going through something that is so much bigger than sports in general. It's so much bigger than basketball. And even though I think that it could be a great chance for everybody to have their voices heard, to have their opinions heard, to make a really, really big difference, because we have this, again, that international spotlight on the playoffs and on the finals, I can't confidently say, yep, LeBron should go out there and play, or anybody should go out there and play right now. So I don't know. I can't give you a solid answer on that one.
No, that's fair, because I feel the same way. I do think what's interesting, though, is Patrick Beverley it kind of sounds like he's down to sit out the season. But he's also on a $40 million contract with the Clippers. So he's going to make $14.3 million this year, minus the, 25% reduction, I think. And then we have Austin Rivers. Now, Austin Rivers is not in the same boat, because he's on a 2-year contract worth $4.5 million. So he's set to only make $2.3 million this year. Again, that's before the 25% reduction. But he is not on board at all. And he says it's from a financial aspect that he just doesn't want to do it. And he says it's not fair, because he says there's a lot of Black, I don't know, Leo, if you want to post his little comment up there, but he says it's not fair because there's a lot of Black players in the league who, again, live paycheck to paycheck. This comment of the paycheck to paycheck is bothering me. But he says with this money, you can help out even more people. That just bothers me. But he says with this money, you can help out even more people and continue to give more, importantly, your time and energy towards the Black Lives Matter movement, which I'm 100% on board with, because change needs to happen and injustice has been going on too long. But also, not to mention, there are plenty of NBA players I know who need them paychecks. 99% of the NBA hasn't made the money a guy like Kyrie has made. Again, I understand that, but to me, this is speaking to a bigger problem. If you are making the kind of money that they make in the NBA and you are living paycheck to paycheck, that is a problem that I feel like we need to tackle at a later date. But I don't think that you guys should be bringing up this paycheck to paycheck thing right now. Chris, I have to ask you real quick before we run out of time. Do you agree? I mean, I know you kind of said what you said about, you think they should play, but this paycheck to paycheck specific, because we've heard this a couple of times.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you hear players say, hey, we need to play because we're paycheck to paycheck?
It bothers. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you can be in this. I mean, it's similar. Like, I kind of get it because we talk about all the time. I'm sure he's probably. Well, that's the thing. No, he's not, because he's Doc Rivers' son. So who is he paying for? Like, whose boys does he have to like? No, I don't know. I mean, he's probably making a good argument for other people. I still don't necessarily agree with it. I feel like when you're in a position of having that much money, you should be better, especially in today's day and age where you can get people that know how to control money, that can help you control your damn money. Mm-hmm. I still feel like that they should be in a better situation than being paycheck to paycheck, making that kind of money. But in the same breath, I do think that his comment is still just as fair. Like, to say that, he is coming back for financial reasons, but still believes in, pushing for this movement. I think that in that comment, that part of this statement, I believe that that's fair. But when he can't, that paycheck to paycheck part, just like, it just blows my mind. I don't understand. It really does. Right. It really does.
Yeah. He could have literally said, I have the cure for cancer, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And I would have been like, I'd have skipped the cancer part and been like, what do you mean you living paycheck to paycheck? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It bothers me. It bothers me.
Me too.
So what we're not going to do is make millions of dollars and say we live in paycheck to paycheck. Stay less.
I'm saying. Right.
Go ahead,
yeah. One thing that he did say that I do think is valid was he said that if we're earning our regular salaries, if we're making money, we can give more back. We can donate more, which I think that's a good thought process to have. I mean,
yeah, but you got to check the receipts, though. That's still, you check the receipts. If you've never given before, don't use that as your little tool to say, hey, this is why we should play now. Nothing about his comment to me resonated with an ounce of sincerity. While I get, like what Chris said, I get what he's saying. None of it seemed sincere to me.
Right. In his sense. Right. I was just talking about in a general sense. For that, I probably should look at it because he's the one that said it. But in a general sense, for other players that are in situations like that, I get that. So that's why I took that. But you're right. For him in himself, in sincerity, I did not see that at all. Yeah. Even in the spot. It's not me. I didn't see it either.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jackie, thank you for telling us for what we not gonna do. And you guys, we're gonna be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below. Wash those hands, you guys. Wash. And we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, guys.
Ooh, yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
You gotta hit it with me next time. We need to do it in a harmony.
Let's do it. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yes. There it is.